what's up, guys? Welcome back to week 3 of our student gatherings. We're so thankful for you joining us. It's going to be an awesome week. We really are looking forward to this week and what Logan has to share with us. But we know that this week doesn't look normal, and we're on week 3 of doing life together digitally. And so want to encourage you, keep leaning in. I know it can be hard, it can be frustrating, and some of you just want to be in the same room as your friends. I know it's hard. But we're so excited as Logan dives in today into the book of Acts, and as we continue to talk about what the early church looked like and how they continued to move the mission forward, and how we too can move the mission of Jesus forward in this season. We're so excited. Check out what Logan has to say.
What's up, everyone? My name's Logan, and I'm one of the student pastors here at Hope City. I'm really thankful for you guys tuning in today, whether you're on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook. What I'm really most excited about is the opportunity to hang out with you guys on the Zoom Hangouts after this. Whether you're in high school or middle school, make sure you find that link and click on it. Guys, right now more than ever, I'm craving being around people, and it's just not happening, right? Maybe you're in that same boat with me. Just not being able to be around people, not even having that choice, is driving me nuts. But as a people person, I find myself really just trying to survive throughout the day. Maybe you're not really a people person. Maybe you're more of the introvert. Maybe sitting at home playing video games for hours on end is your speed. Man, I'm jealous of you. But I think either way, we're in this awesome opportunity where all of us are kind of reimagining what life really looks like. We're kind of forced into it, but I think it's an opportunity that we need to take advantage of. And I'm excited today as we launch into a new series called Church Reimagined. And we're going to reimagine what it looks like to be a church. Right, we're going to reimagine what it looks like for our day-to-day lives. We're going to reimagine what everything really looks like. There's days right now that I have where I feel like I'm being really successful. Days where I'm accomplishing all kinds of things. I set a to-do list and I check everything off. Guys, but there's also a lot of days where that's the exact opposite. There's days where I feel like I'm just getting by. Or there's days when my biggest accomplishment is probably not eating the entire bag of chips, if I'm being honest. Right, those are the same days that I'm spending a ton of time watching TV, watching Netflix, watching Disney Plus, right? Actually, the other day, I did get to watch one of my favorite movies as a kid. It's a movie called Cool Runnings. And what's funny is I'm pretty sure I laughed just as hard the other day as I did the first time watching it when I was a kid. See, this movie, Cool Runnings, actually has a really relevant theme to where we're at right now. And even though that movie is years and years old, I'm going to try not to spoil it as best I can for you. See, the movie starts out and there's this guy, the main character, and he's got one goal. He's got one mission in life, and that mission is to be an Olympic athlete. And we see at the start of the movie, we get a sense that this guy's actually a favorite to represent his country as a sprinter, right? But through a couple of events and a freak accident, he has to change, right, the way that he's going to achieve his dream. And his dream never changes. His mission never changes, but the model in which he's going to achieve it does, right? And as I was sitting there watching this movie, I kept pointing out the similarities in my mind about, man, what that guy's going through right now is similar to where we are as a church and where we are as a student ministry. See, our mission as a church is to be a church for the unchurched. And we want to help people experience Jesus in a way that changes their lives and helps impact generations. But how do we do that right now? Right? That's the tension that we're figuring out. How do we actually go and help somebody experience Jesus when I'm not allowed to leave my house? Guys, I think what's fun is we get to reimagine everything. We get to reimagine what church looks like right now. And as we saw last week, the very first church, right, in Acts, we see the church really start to grow in the early stages. And Connor, there's one thing I know about Connor is when that dude talks, I listen. The dude's got good stuff. And so when he was talking about the early church of Acts, it inspired me to open up my Bible. And I turned to the book of Acts and I started reading through it. And I started finding similarities between where the early church was and where we are now. Church is trying to navigate how do we help others experience Jesus. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. How are we going to continue to help others experience Jesus in a way that's going to change their life? Guys, so I made it all the way in Acts to chapter 10. And I was introduced to this guy named Cornelius. And if that wasn't a cool enough name, one of my favorite things is in verse 1, this is how it describes him. Cornelius, a centurion in what was known as the Italian regiment. Are you kidding me? The dude's name's Cornelius, and he's got a sweet title, Centurion of the Italian Regiment. I'd probably want to hang out with this dude. But if we're being honest, the Roman soldiers back in the day weren't exactly the heroes of the Jewish community. See, most of Jesus' disciples, they were Jews, and they didn't really hang out with guys like Cornelius. They didn't hang out with the Roman soldiers. In fact, it was actually against Jewish law to go hang out with Gentiles. But we read in chapter 10, and it's this awesome moment where we see Cornelius have this vision, right? And he has this vision that ends up with him inviting Peter to his house. And what was crazy about this is that we know Cornelius had never experienced Jesus. Whether he knew who God was or not, he had not yet experienced Jesus. And so he invites Peter to come to his house. And through Peter's own visions, he actually ends up coming to Cornelius' house, right? And this is this awesome moment. And in verse 34, we see Peter actually speaking to Cornelius inside his home. And he says, then Peter began to speak. I now realize how true it is that God does not show favoritism, but he accepts men from every nation who fear him and do what is right. And it was this really awesome moment where Peter even clicks in and goes, man, experiencing Jesus really is for everyone. Even this person that I had wrote off, right? The way that we're going to achieve this mission that God had given us, my model has to change. The way I do that has to change. And it was an awesome moment to see a guy that actually walked with Jesus to have that light bulb moment, that click, and go, man, I need to help others experience Jesus, right? And he goes on in chapter 11, and we see this because when he goes after he leaves Cornelius' house, he goes back to his friends, and the guys are going, man, what are you doing? That's against the law. You can't go into a Roman soldier's house. That's not okay. But we see this awesome verse 17, and he says, this is Peter speaking to his buddies, and he goes, so if God gave them the same gift as he gave us, who believed in the Lord Jesus Christ, who was I to think that I could oppose God? Guys, I don't like thinking of it that way. But there's times in my life where I've probably made an excuse, or I've made a reason why not to go talk to somebody, or I've made an assumption why somebody wouldn't want to experience Jesus, right? And we see here Peter had those same feelings, and then he was able to actually fight through that based off of what God had in store for him. And then we see throughout all of that, other people realize, man, we are on a mission. We want to go help people experience Jesus in a way that's going to change their life. Guys, this week is Easter week. Easter is this coming Sunday. And so I think if not now, then never will there be a better time for us to go and try to seek people who need to experience Jesus. Because we see in Matthew 9, right, when Jesus starts calling his disciples, he calls Matthew and he says, come and follow me. And a lot of people are like, man, that dude's a sinner. He's a tax collector. That's the worst of the worst. And on hearing this in verse 12, it says, Jesus said, it is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. But go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. For I have not come to call the righteous, but the sinners. Guys, we look at this moment, this awesome moment that's coming up of Easter Sunday. And it's not the moment where we celebrate Jesus' death, but it's where we celebrate his resurrection 3 days later and what that means for us. The hope that that gives us, right? And we are foolish to think that that's not for everybody. And many of you are just like me, and you've experienced this idea of thinking, man, I'm not going to go and share this with somebody because they might not need it. Or I'm not going to go and invite somebody to be a part of this because they won't want to be a part of it. Guys, we saw Peter have those same anxieties, right? We saw people judging other people who Jesus was calling. But that's what we're called to do, to go and help people experience Jesus. And so this is my challenge to you. As we reimagine what church looks like, right? Our mission's going to stay the same. We want to help others experience Jesus, experience the hope that's only found in Jesus. And there's already somebody in your mind right now that you've thought of, that you've gone, man, I probably made an excuse for that person or assumed why that person wouldn't want to be a part of what we've got going on. There's no better time than now to get somebody in and encourage them to make their next step with Jesus. Guys, I'm excited as we continue to lean in on one another, on what God has for us as a student ministry, and really reimagine how we're going to help others experience Jesus in a way that's going to change their life and impact generations. Can't wait to talk with you guys more as we hop on these Zoom calls. See you guys in a little bit.
Man, that was an awesome message from Logan. We're so thankful for his heart. And like he said, the mission hasn't changed. The model has. And we have to continue to figure out what it looks like for us to continue to reach people for the kingdom, to help people experience Jesus in a way that changes their life and impacts generations. If you haven't yet, followed us on Zoom, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. All of those are ways for you to connect this week. And this week, it's so important, more important than ever, to connect with your community because it's the week of Easter. And it's a time that we get to share with people all around us the joy and the grace that we have been freely given. And so I want to challenge you, like Logan did, invite somebody to experience Easter with you this Sunday. We have 3 services, 3 gatherings on Sunday and 1 on Monday night. I want to encourage you, don't watch those alone. Watch it with your family. Watch it with your friends. Get together and do life together. We love you guys. We'll see you on Zoom just after this.